Hey everyone, happy meeting after the holidays. I know we had a very busy week last week, so I want to make sure we leave enough time for all show reports from all photo that happened last week. But before then, I think it's important for us to go around the bend and let's talk about some fun holiday cheer or something you got to do in the last week. Let's start with Mylena.
Um, I got to see my family. That was fun for Christmas. We had to spend time together. We played a lot of like card games and board games, which was fun.
What kind of card games did you play?
Um, we played like Phase 10. There's one, it's called You've Got Crabs or something like that. Yeah, it's a card game and it's actual like crabs. It's made by this one. Have you ever heard of Exploding Kittens?
Yes,
Because they made that game.
that tracks.
Yeah. So
It would make sense that a game that explodes kittens also posits that one has crabs.
yeah.
So I'm glad that we learned about crustaceans during the holidays. It's great. Johnny.
I as well had a great Christmas with some family and just got back like 20 minutes ago. So,
Well, I
yeah.
hope you stayed safe. The roads were insane. I
Yeah.
didn't get home till yesterday, as I'm taking kind of 10 days off, but like working because PTO is a thing.
Nice.
But it like driving from Cleveland to Wisconsin, it was like a junkyard, like semis everywhere. It was absolutely frightening.
Yikes.
Yeah. Elena.
I got to eat a bunch of good food, which was fun.
What is your most favorite thing that you consumed?
The honey baked, or this turkey from Honey Baked Ham. And it's my
Oh,
favorite turkey. It's so good.
that's great. I did have a nice meal experience as well yesterday for Christmas. It was like it was literally just a beef tenderloin. It was massive,
Oh,
and
nice.
I had to pass out right away afterward. It was like the weight of it was probably the weight of my stomach, like in all honesty. And I don't think I wasn't able to eat the whole thing, but it was great. Good to see the family, puppies, and all that. So let's dive into a few things here. As I said, let's review last week. Oh, look, we did it. Good job. 100% on last week. Feels real good. That we might have a little more of a challenge this week because we actually have booths this week. But I think I put in everyone's email. There's a fair to midland chance that we're gonna do another short booking photo booth for Saturday. Wayne will be taking it. Wayne is a big boy, so he can take an infinite if need be. So I don't feel too much need for that, but let's definitely give Nick Alder an infinite, or not infinite, but a venture. Nick is phasing out with us. He's put in his 30 days. He's gonna do his last two shows, and then he's gonna be done with us for Rock the House for the foreseeable future. So let's make the last couple of shows that he does here pleasant and easy. One is this weekend, one is the next weekend. So I'll just give him a nice experience so he can ride off into the sunset somewhat positively, so that maybe down the line when he says, you know what, I'm willing to pick up like one show a month, he's willing to do that as opposed to not. So so when we are making the photo plan, just identify where Nick's shows are and let's give him a nice experience to close out on. Let's talk about this the situation here with the end of 2023 in the Discord. I'm curious about what happened exactly, because I know Johnny, you submitted to me and then we did it again. So I would love to know like kind of what, like, are we communicating with each other? Are we talking with each other? Because I would hate for us to start doing double the work when it already gets done once. Or so then I guess the question would also be, are we doing things in the right way to make sure that we're not doing work twice? So I'm going to open up just for discussion, because I think this is an identify the problem, discuss it, and solve it type situation. So just TLDR, Johnny, you said, I know in the meeting last week, you said you had it, you're finalizing it, then you shared it with me. And then Elena, Mylena, I believe that you also said, like, you put in Discord some information that was regarding that too. So does anyone have any insights that I would love to hear? Like, did we actually end up doing the work twice, or what was the context around that?
Well, Johnny, did you did you test out the booths and printers and stuff, or did you just write up the paper? Because what I got was that you just wrote up what was like wrong with the equipment, and Mylena and I what we did was we like tested everything on working booths and printers and all that stuff. So just like make sure that it was still like that. So I didn't know if you I just got the impression that you didn't test them. You just wrote what was wrong with the equipment.
Oh, heard. No, I remember testing all the printers at one point, and I would assume that over time, because like I don't know, there's a notebook. There's a notebook when I started auditing like what all was in the room. I went through and labeled like this infinite number, da 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 da. It's empty, or it says as of this date it was broken, or whatever. I had that written on a piece of paper. I'm not sure. So no, I didn't go through and test them like again. I just kind of wrote down the information that was already there. So I appreciate you guys testing it though.
So
Definitely.
so part of what I hear too is, Johnny, you were working on it for a while, I think like a week or two before last Monday. And then I know, Elena, you and I had a passing conversation, and then we also brought it up again in the meeting to test all the equipment before we put the end of year report out. So I can see where the wires could have gotten crossed there, because you were doing something ahead of time, and it was just like, okay, I just need to like put a button on it and send it. And then we had one more, hey, let's check this stuff beforehand. But those two different processes didn't interconnect. Is kind of like what I hear was happening. And part of that, I think, is maybe we are not giving like an individual an accountability over a certain thing, but rather we have like kind of a like this thing, and this thing. But every once in a while, because we have like the way that we flow right now, everyone can do everything, which is great, and I think hyper important. But then when we have like someone's taking this project, but then we have this other thing that needs to talk with that project, that those lines are getting kind of like mismatched or crossed. So I don't think this is anyone's fault at all, like at all. I believe that this is just us looking towards how we can make things more efficient and more communicative going into 2023. So I think what things that we'll probably end up doing is like say, making sure that we very clearly allocate duties to people and make sure that we accomplish them. So yeah, I mean, that I think that's really the does that make sense? Like the conclusion that we're drawing there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's like
100%.
Johnny owns this project. Do we want to test the booths before they go out? Yes. Before we do the final thing, great. So Johnny, while you have the project, then maybe it was like, okay, Elena and Melina, because your work week, you can do the thing and then report to Johnny before we do that. So it's just a matter of us making sure that we are like in the meeting, we're actively listening, seeing what might impact other things, and then say, don't press send until we do this thing. And then I think we will make sure that we're not double taxing the work. The good thing is it sounds like we actually didn't. It was just two separate tasks that were done in two different ways, but then it sounded like they were kind of the same task. So, and you have to forgive me if it sounds more like specific than normal, like what I say, because like I'm hearing myself say it. I'm like, am I being a little too pedantic right now? I think it's just because we're also coming up on in the next year for entertainment in general, we're going to be rolling out an accountability chart that's somewhat so much an org chart that says who's in charge of what things. And it's just a way of, and as prep team members, you will play a pretty important role in that, along with some other things for entertainment that are currently brewing and stuff that will be posted for jobs and such really soon. So I just kind of wanted to throw some of that stuff out there. And I think that as long as we're like, okay, when we have a project, we're going to specifically allocate it. Should we put it in the My Task section in the Google Task list? Would that be efficient? Is that something that people are actually using?
I use it.
You use it?
Yeah. Have it where like I always check the task list for like the week, and I know that every week I have like the same specific tasks. So sometimes I will forget to check based on my habitual brain, but definitely just something I need to work on.
As long as it's a useful tool and we're using it. If we're not, then we should get rid of it and find a better way. That's just what I want to make sure. And the fact that it connects with everything else, I think is just good. Also, side note, at some point, I would love to see what the process looks like from where we started with making the photo plan to today, because I know we do it digitally. We also do it on the task list. And I think changes have happened a little bit. So I'd love to audit that at some point on say a Monday. And then I know, Johnny, as well, you posited potentially using that whiteboard downstairs. that's in
Yes.
the photo room right now to make it a little more like big and visible, which I'm totally fine if you all want to start using that. But just something to think about going down the future. Is there anything else on this end of year report that we want to add to it before we wrap it up? Before I send it along with other things? Neat.
No.
Neat. Love it. Elena, you might have just seen an ECO come across the table for your show on Friday with the loadout for the zoo. I sent it earlier today. I'm checking to see if, like, I just put Chance through driving training with a sprinter. So I might just have you meet on site. Right now I have that as what it's set,
Okay.
because I want this is a good low stakes, not too much pressure kind of situation that, you know, him and I went through practice, and I would love for it to go from theoretical to actual. So I might just have you meet on site that day. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Great. Let's see, is there anything else on my list right now? We talked about the potential last minute booking. And just and as a side note, things are not set in stone, but like as I was kind of alluding with that, just to reiterate and make it a clear point here on my list of actionable items I need to say out loud, 2023 will have some changes in people responsibility and prep team stuff. It's still a thing, it's still going forward, but people might have more of like a specific focus. I know we kind of hinted at it, but that will also come with changing in some other structures, be it show compensation or elsewise. So please be aware going into this coming year that some of those things might change for you also. Wanted that to be known. Besides that, we're feeling pretty good about like the shows this week, how the design's coming, all that stuff. Things are looking okay.
Mhm. Yeah, we put Mylena did one booth and we did the mirror booth together. So I think there's 2 or 3 left for this week, including the maybe one.
Right. And Johnny, I know you're on the mirror booth this weekend, right?
Absolutely.
Nice.
I'm stoked.
Woo. It was fun. When I went to go train Keith on it, I'm like, you know what? This actually is like a great novelty, because a host of a mirror booth, it's like making a meal out of a sandwich, if that makes sense. Like you have your sandwich is the booth, but as the host, you can make a meal out of it because of all the interaction that you can have with it. So I hope
Right.
that you're enjoying that.
I really do. I really do.
Yeah, great. Cool. So then I'll keep people up to date on how this booking goes. For the subsequent week, the 7th. I would start to scout that out just a little bit. We have an out of town event, and that out of town event is Kentucky, so it's
Yes.
far. What that means is when it gets sent, we're going to be pretty much unable to support it if it goes out. So I want us to do an audit and see what kind of backup equipment we could send, even if that means sending a whole additional booth, because I would hate for it to get down there and it's like, whoops. So let's do a quick audit of inventory, sending additional media. If we can send like, you know, depending on overall, if we send like another booth or some whatever, what have you, let's just make sure, because it is like one of the situations where we're sending it to a new set of clientele, and it has like relatively high stakes. So let's make sure whatever we send is tight, looks good, and if we send backups, let's do it.
I think it is a 360.
Is it a 360?
I'm pretty sure.
Cool. So then I would say let's test all the things. So actually set it up, factual set it up, make sure it's working, make sure we have all of the novelties, all those things are working. Design wise, let's keep it simple, because I've now noticed a few times, like with too many scenes that we design, it does slow some stuff down, especially within the designs. I think we can do multiple designs, but keep them relatively simple, if that makes sense. And then Mylena, this is going to be, I think, a really good opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about designing 360 scenes. So Elena, let's make sure she gets some time with you. Like this and next week being relatively quiet would be a great time to start learning those things.
Okie dokie.
Awesome. Anything else, people, for me?
No.
I'm chilling.
Elena, I know we have a conversation brewing at some point. We'll plan on that. But Mylena, you and I are going to stick around here afterwards to do a thing. So if you don't mind staying on, that'd be great. And then, friends, enjoy the rest of your day. It's still kind of the holiday season, so make sure you're getting plenty of rest and that you're getting a chance to celebrate with friends and family. I know I'm going to be doing that this week, so make sure y'all are doing that. Okay.
Yay.
Absolutely.
Yay, indeed. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.